All right, so these are the notes from on page 4, find the measure of the given angle. So if you are trying to find the measure of an angle, you're going to start and you're going to set it up the exact same way that we set it up on page 3. So we're going to start off and look at 23. So the first thing we're actually going to do is we're going to change this question mark to a theta. Theta is essentially a 0 with a horizontal line through it. It looks like this, really big. So we're going to go ahead and change that question mark to a theta, and then we're still going to look at our triangle and figure out which sides do I have. So on this triangle, is your hypotenuse labeled? No, so you don't need your H. If we go to our opposite side, we're looking at angle theta and we're going opposite angle theta. We have our 7 labeled, so I'm going to label that as my O side, my opposite side, which means 17 is my adjacent side. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to write my trig equation. I have to figure out which trig function I'm going to use. So which one, so, ca, or toa, is spelled with O and A. It's toa. So it's going to be O, A, and then your first one is a T. Your T tells you that you use your tangent function. So we have the tangent of theta equals, and we're still going to make our fraction of our O side over our A side, so 7 over 17. Now, your tangent and your theta are always attached, so in order to separate them, kind of like multiplication undoes division or subtraction undoes division, we're going to use the inverse of tangent, and the inverse of tangent looks like this. You're going to have theta equals the inverse of tangent, which is tan to the negative 1, and you're still going to have 7 divided by 17. When you do this, all you have to do differently in your calculator is you click second, you press second, and then you press the tangent button, and it'll give you tan to the negative 1. You do not just use the little exponent key and type negative 1. That you don't do. So you click second tangent, just type 7 divided by 17, and that should give you your answer. So if we look at 28, sorry, I don't have a calculator in this moment, and I don't know what it is, so give me a moment and I'll put that answer up there. But let's look over at 28. So we're going to change this theta, this question mark, to a theta, and then we're going to look and say, do I have my hypotenuse labeled? Yes, I do. I have my hypotenuse labeled. It is 20, so I'm going to put that as my H. I'm going to then look, do I have my opposite side labeled? I do. That's my O. The one that uses O and H has to be so, which means I'm using my sine function. So I have the sine of theta equals 7 over 20. So again, in order to separate your sine and your theta, you're going to have theta equals the inverse of sine, so sine to the negative 1, of 7 over 20. So when you type it in your calculator, you're going to press second first, and then you're going to press your sine button. And you're going to type 7 divided by 20, and you're going to get 20.48 degrees. Going back to that first one, you should have gotten 22.38 degrees. All right, and so for your last one, 29, the last one we're going to do together, you're going to change this to a theta, and then you're going to label your sides. So do we have our hypotenuse labeled? Yes, we do. Right here, it's H. Then we're going to look and see, do we have our opposite side labeled? I do not, so I don't need to write an O. I do have my adjacent side labeled, so I'm going to label it as A. So based on A and H, that means I have to use CA. So CA tells me I'm going to use my cosine function. So the cosine of theta equals 15 over 17. And then to figure out theta, you do theta equals the inverse of cosine of 15 over 17. When you type it in your calculator, you're going to click second cosine, and then you're just going to do 15 divided by 17. And you're going to get 28.07. Again, you want to make sure that your calculator is in degrees. Remember, if it's not, you go to mode and then you select degrees. Otherwise, you should get the correct answers if you do them this way. Good luck!